Before we start, we have an iTunes 5-star rating and review from Spanky71. Recommended for the enthusiasts. Encounters Down Under share some very interesting stories about UFO alien encounters, a subject that I'm very interested in. Great to hear from Australians who have experienced these things. Thanks for the 5-star rating and review, and I'm glad I can provide you with a service that gains your interest. Thanks again, Spanky. Own a business? Why not become a sponsor of the show and get your business heard by potentially thousands of people worldwide? Get in touch with us via our messenger on Facebook or email at australianufosighting@outlook.com.au. G'day folks, and welcome to another episode of Encounters Down Under. David joins us on the show to tell us about a triangular craft he observed whilst he was driving past a military base that could very well have been the well-known TR-3B. And he also talks about other experiences he remembers as a child. So please welcome to the show, David. You there, David? Welcome to the show, mate. You there?
Yep, I'm here. Am I here? Am I on?
Yeah, there, mate. Got you. Yeah, we got you. Loud and clear.
How you going?
Going good, mate. And yourself?
Yeah, really good, really good. Yeah.
That's awesome. Mate, thanks for coming on the show, man, mate. It's absolutely marvellous having you on here.
That's all right. Thank you.
So, mate, you've had a few experiences there, mate. I'll let you go and take over, mate, and by all means, show us what you got.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, I've had one main experience. There's been a few things. I've always been interested in UFOs and the alien theories and all that sort of stuff. But probably about 6 years ago is when I had a sighting. I'll call it a sighting of some craft. And now, even in my own mind, I sort of like, I don't like to say it could be an extraterrestrial craft or whatever, because in my own mind I think it just seems too crazy to even to admit that it was something, from out of this world, to from what I saw. So the thing that happened probably was about 6 years ago. It was when I was living with my dad, and I was actually traveling from Sydney, driving on the New England Highway to Brisbane for a convention that I was doing, and I travelled interstate quite a bit with my car and bringing my work with me to sell and that sort of thing for different events. And that particular day was just a bad day. Usually when I travel that I'm driving interstate, I leave really early. Like I'll leave at 4 or 5 in the morning to beat the traffic and just get through really early. But my dog was sick. The dog had to be taken to the vet. He was actually really close to dying and everything. So I had to wait for this friend to turn up to help the dog. So the trip started late. So I probably left Sydney at about 9:30, 10 o'clock or something like that. So there was a bit of traffic. The trip up there was, took me, there was different things happening. There was a big accident along the way too. So that delayed my trip. So by the time I was getting into Brisbane, I hadn't taken the New England Highway for years, since I was little, that we'd driven up with when my dad and my mum used to drive us up to see our family and stuff up in Queensland. And what happened is, because I travelled a few times before, the Pacific Highway was always under construction, and I just thought it's going to take forever. I'll go New England Highway. By the time, so the experience happened. Probably it was getting towards dusk. So the sun was coming down. It was still a bit of light, but not very much. And I was coming through Warwick. Now, you're going to have to forgive me because I don't know the area 100%. I know I was coming through the New England Highway onto the Cumberland Highway, through out of Ipswich and Warwick and that sort of area. And it was coming into Glen Rock Forest. That's where I had to research that later and look at it on a map. So I was coming in to Glen Rock Forest. I was traveling on my own, so I was just on my own in the car. And as I was traveling in, I I thought, because I wasn't familiar with it, and I thought it was getting late, and I thought I must be getting to Brisbane soon. I was driving not fully in the ranges yet. I was sort of like still in like farm area, moving in towards the mountains, and I saw lights on the horizon, very low on the trees, and I assumed from the shape and the color of these lights in this one area that they were the lights of planes. I kept on seeing them. I didn't think anything of it. I thought, whatever. I thought, okay, no worries. I said, I must be getting close to Brisbane. It must be lights of the city or something. I kept driving. It was getting darker, but I kept seeing these lights, and I kept seeing these lights. But as I was driving further in and getting a little bit closer, they were actually, it looked like planes to me. To me, it looked like the back of a plane. I actually started to think I must be in the line of a flight path with I'm seeing the back of planes landing, because the lights that I was seeing were in triangular shapes. So they were in like a pattern of lights in a triangular shape. And they were pretty bright. They were bright. They were like red and orange colors, and they kept moving. So it was like, and I thought they were planes landing because it was like at different angles. 1 minute it was at 45-degree angle, then it was at a different angle, opposite way. And I just kept on driving, but then it just started to get weird to me. And then I think I looked at the GPS and I thought, I'm nowhere near Brisbane yet. I'm still ages out of Brisbane. I haven't even reached Ipswich yet. And that's when I started, as I kept driving in and it was getting darker, I thought, this is weird. I thought, whatever it is, it's in the same spot and it's not moving. Like, it's not a plane. This is not a plane. And whatever it is making bright lights and patterns of light. And I just kept seeing it it was like a triangular shape. So it was like weird patterns, and it kept moving like if you had, like a ruler or something. It was just like at different angles, like as if it was like tilted to one side, then tilted to another side. Whatever it was just always changing. I kept driving, and to be honest, then I started to get suspicious about it, and I kept driving, but by then I was in the forest. So I kept on seeing this thing in and out of the trees, but it was always there and it was always really bright. I think probably about 20 minutes into the drive, and I kept seeing it constantly because it went for a good 20 minutes that I saw this thing in the one spot all the time. I got to a spot where I think by then I had started to drive out of the forest area. And that's when the lights had actually died down a bit, which was really weird to me. And the other thing that was weird is I was on the highway now, and I think it was either the Cumberland Highway or if it was still the New England Highway. But by then it was busy and there was a lot of cars driving, and I could still see that thing. So I was on my side of the road, but whatever it was, the craft, whatever you want to call it, I'm still finding it hard to deal with what I want to call it or what I'm trying to say it is, was to the right of me. So it was like hovering over to the right, and whatever it was a big triangular shape. It was like just big, but it wasn't moving, and it was like just there in the air. And I got to a point where probably about 300 meters up the road, maybe a bit more, I saw a petrol station, and there was a bit of clearing on the side of the road. So I pulled the car over, and I'm just looking at this thing, and this thing is like it was like drifting in the sky, but it was like going so slow. It was like a balloon floating in the sky, but it was like a big triangular thing. But by the time I got there, and by the time I'd stopped the car and was looking at it directly, the lights had gone out. Like there were no more bright lights. It was just it was just crazy. It was just, and I'm looking at it, and I could see by then the sky had gotten dark, but there was still a tinge of light. So I could see this silhouette of this thing floating like over the trees, and it was like moving so slow, like it was just, I just don't know how to describe it. It was just weird, and it was just really weird. And I got my phone out, and I'm trying to, because I just had an iPhone, and it wasn't a great iPhone, and I just couldn't take photos of it. Like, it just wasn't recording because it was so dark, and it was probably about 1 kilometer away. And I could see the skyline of the trees. By then, it was a flat area, so I'd come out of the mountain, so it was flat, and I could see the tinge of blue, like when you still see light from the sun after sundown. And the silhouette of this big triangular thing floating in the sky. And I tried taking photos of it. And the weird thing, what happened next is I heard a loud jet. Like, there was this roar of a loud jet. And I was like, Jesus Christ, what is that? And I look out the window, and I don't remember seeing a jet, but I saw a red light just fly across the sky, like towards where that thing was. And by then, I actually I was really scared. I got really scared. I got panicked, and I thought I better move. And I decided to drive off. And I regretted driving off after that. But whatever it was, I could still see it. And then what happened is, I kept seeing it. Even though the lights had gone out, there was there was like dots of very small lights around the edge of it. So there were like small white lights around the edge. So all those bright lights have gone. And now I think back on it, I just don't understand what was going on. I don't know why it had bright lights at first, and then all those lights were gone. But then when I stopped and I opened the window and I was trying to take photos of it, nothing was recording because it was so dark. It was just, the iPhone was crap, and it just wasn't taking photos. And I just couldn't, I started to panic, and then I heard that loud jet, and I thought, where the hell am I? So I took off. But the other thing I didn't realize is it was busy, and the highway was busy, and there were so many cars, but no one was stopping. Like, no one else had noticed this thing at all. So I was like, why am I the only one? Am I the only one seeing this thing? And I'm like, how could no one else have seen those lights? Because the lights were really bright. And where it was, there was like the highway, and across probably 1 kilometer or 2 was where that thing was, just floating. And it was like drifting in the sky, like it was like a balloon. It was just bizarre. And it was like a big triangular shape. But by then I just I took off because I panicked, and I so regretted taking off. I just chickened out and I took off. I thought, and I was looking around, I thought, Christ, I'm going to get abducted or something. I didn't know what I was looking at. But looking back now, I don't like to say that it was extraterrestrial or whatever, because there's so many theories about craft and everything. People say they're army or military and stuff like that. So I don't like to say that it was extraterrestrial or anything like that. But I took off. I started driving again. And then as I was driving down the highway, I got to a point where it was all lit up. There was a lit up area, and I saw that there was an Air Force base. There was, I think it's Amberley Air Force Base.
Yep. And
that's where I realized that the jet was coming from, where I heard the loud jets from. So that was like, wow. I was like, okay, so there's an Air Force base here. So I drove up, I drove past that, but I kept on, and that was it. And that was my encounter. But that was seeing this massive thing, whatever it was big. And and in those images that I sent you, that I sent the mock-ups, because I didn't get photos of it, that was the only way that I could represent to you what I saw that night. So those were, my mock-ups of what I saw that night. So that's what I gave you in replace, for lack of photos and stuff.
Yeah.
Then once I got into Brisbane, man, I was so freaked out, and I was late. It was like 9:30, 10 o'clock. I was staying at my cousin's place, and I told him what had happened, and he loves this stuff too, but he brushed it off. He said, oh, you know, it was a jet. It was something else, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, 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 no. I said it was just floating there. I told, and then I got on the internet, and I tried. I think there's some website that that records encounters around the world, and I contacted this. I don't know what this website was. It was ages ago. I contacted them, and they said, oh, you know, it's near the Air Force Base. They could be testing anything. But what I didn't get about the whole testing thing was it was away from the Air Force Base. It was still like a kilometer or so away from the Air Force Base, but it was on the opposite side in just general area, just in like public area, I guess, over the forest. So I don't know. It just, it really, I've never experienced anything like that. I've never seen anything like that. And it's just made me question so many things. Like anyway, it was just, amazing. So when I got into Brisbane, I tried to look it up. I tried to report it. I even emailed the Air Force Base or whatever, like they were going to reply or anything like that, but or admit anything. But and I couldn't find anything. But what I didn't understand was that no one else had stopped to see this thing or to look at it, and I was the only one there. It just baffled me. So I didn't understand how that happened. Yeah, so it was just weird. Anthony. So yeah. And then what else? I tried to find recordings of it. I couldn't find any reports from anyone else about it once I got into Brisbane. So yeah, so that was pretty much it. And yeah, so that was pretty much it.
No, mate, either way, that's absolutely incredible and amazing, and it's unfortunate that you're the only one to seen it, but still, it just
I don't get
mind-boggling.
I'm baffled by it, because I was like, why is no one else stopping? And it was like a busy highway by that point, and I just didn't understand why no one had was stopping to see it as well. Like no one had noticed it either.
Yeah, that's raises a lot of questions, doesn't it?
In a flat area, it was like forest, but all the trees were flat. So it was like flat. I could see the tree, like the silhouette of the treetops, and the blue, like the dark blue sky. But whatever that thing was just black, and it had little lights on the edges of it, like a triangular shape, and it was like floating like a pie, sort of just floating there, and it was just like moving across really slowly. And then that jet went off, and I don't know what that light was. I don't know if jets have red lights on. I don't know anything about that stuff. I
think it would have been the afterburner.
What was that?
I think it might have been the afterburners you're seeing.
Oh, right. I have no idea,
so
mate.
Just the jet engine itself, where you got the flames coming at the back end.
And that was like flying across really fast. And I don't know, like, and after that is when I started sort of like researching a bit more into it. Like, then I started, you know, because have always been interested in UFOs and stuff and whatever. And that's when I started to research, you know, there's like watching documentaries or looking at some, you know, docos or reports and accounts on YouTube or whatever I could find, books and whatever. And that's where I found out that a lot of sightings happen around Air Force bases and that sort of thing. So I thought,
yeah,
was it a UFO or was it an Air Force vehicle or something like that? But what I didn't understand was, you know, why it was in the middle of a public area that everyone could see it. And then I thought, how could no one see it with those crazy lights that I was seeing earlier? But by the time I got there and I stopped and I was trying to take photos, it had no lights. It just had really tiny lights. And then the other thing was, it wasn't flat. It wasn't like at a position like a plane travels flat with the wings out. It was like up in the air like an ice cream cone. It was like a triangle, like a triangle shape floating at a 45-degree angle. So it wasn't like down flat. It was like up in the middle, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
From the images that I've given you, it was like a triangle in the sky. It was just it was just crazy. And I thought, what am I seeing? I said, I just couldn't believe it. And even to this day, I still like think, yeah, whatever it was just freaky. But part of me can't admit to myself that it would be, that it would be like a spaceship or something like that. I just can't fathom that.
Yeah, the mind sort of tries to comprehend what's actually going on and tries to come up with a realistic realization of what's going on.
Yeah. It just seems too incredible to me for it to have been anything from another planet. That would be freaky. I wouldn't believe. Yeah, you know, I love this sort of stuff. I love science fiction, man. I just thought, no. And that is the only real conscious experience that I've had. But as I told you earlier, before we got on air, I've had a couple of other there's other things that that I've sort of like experienced that I don't know, that I'm sort of like, I have to look into. Yeah.
But before we start getting into that, though, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Now, whilst you were looking at the craft, did you feel a change in the air, like a different vibration sort of feel?
Not that I'm aware of now. Not that I'm aware. I mean, the only change would have been my fear, or probably my adrenaline and stuff like that. But I didn't notice anything. I can't say that I noticed that. Because by the time I got there and I'd opened the window and I'd rolled the window down to look at it properly, because I was basically at my car. I was at the driver's seat and I'm looking at it. It was directly across from me, probably about a kilometre away, is where I saw it. I can't recall, Anthony. I can't recall any change.
Yep, no, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
So, what about any like noticeable? I've lost my word now. Lost time or anything like that? Like nothing like that?
Well, that is the weird thing. See, that is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying about the whole day being so weird. Me leaving late, and then I got there extremely late. Usually when I get into Brisbane or another state or whatever, driving from Sydney, I'll get there at like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. But it was about 9:30 by the time I got in. It was just a really weird long day. It was a stressful day. Like there was a big accident on the road, and all the cars had stopped. And then it was like a delay there. It was just a weird day. So I don't know. And that's where I was telling you about the other thing, about the other vision. Yeah, the things in my head that I've got that I'm trying to look into.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. But I'll just give a reminder to people there, if they do have a question for David, just be sure to put them in the comments there and I'll relay the question there. So, by all means, yeah, mate, we'll get into your next little encounters or experiences, if you want to call them that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're not really, to me, they're like dreams in my head, but just things about them that, like, all right, there's two in particular, and these have been in my mind since I was around my 20s, like, so around the 80s, like the 1980s and stuff like that, because I'm about 50 now. And one memory that I'll call them memories, for the sake of whatever. The one memory I have is that I woke up. I wake up during the middle of the night, and I'm in my room at home at my parents' place, and I wake up and the room is like, there's like a blue mist in the room. It was really weird. There was like a blue mist, and there's like light, a weird blue light coming through the windows, and I get up to see what this light is, and I look outside the window, and there's like, it sounds bizarre, but there's craft in the sky outside the window, and I turn away from the window thinking, oh my God, what am I seeing? And that's it. That's all I've got in that thing. But that has been in my head for like 20 years, for 20 or 30 years. And it's been in my head that I wake up, I get up I sit up in bed, and there's like a blue mist in the room, and I go to the window. There's like a weird blue light coming through the window, and I look out the window, and there's like craft, and it's not just one craft. There's like a few. There was like, it was weird. It was like craft in the sky, and it was just weird. It was just really weird. And I turned around, I turned back away from the window as if to hide, and that's all I've got. That's all I've got of that memory. Which it's just stayed in my head for years and years. Then the other thing is, I had these weird dreams of, like, I had this dream, this memory, this thing in my head that I'm at this huge window and I'm like on, I don't know where, all I can remember is a big window and I'm looking out and there's a city, but it's all lights. So I'm looking out this window, I'm like, and that's all I can remember as well. And Anthony, this is what I said to you earlier. I have tried going for hypnosis for these memories, and even for hypnosis for other things, and the hypnosis never works. I can never be hypnotized. It just doesn't work on me. I can't go under. I'm always conscious and I just can't go in. And I've tried to see, like I said to you about, I got referred by Mary Rodwell to see this lady in Sydney, and we did I tried to do a regression, and we did a regression about the encounter, the sighting that I had in Brisbane. But we couldn't get anywhere. I just can't be hypnotized. It's just really weird. It's just, I don't know if it's just me or if it's some weird thing that's happened. But I'm still trying to do it. I actually contacted Mary, but it was during lockdown. And there's another lady that I want to go see and see if she can help me to try and clarify some of these memories or whatever that's in my head. So, yeah, so I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if they're just dreams that have been stuck in my head for a long time, but they were so realistic, and especially the one I'm at this big window. It's like a massive window, and I'm standing there, and I can see this city, but it's a city of all lights. So I'm like up somewhere, and I'm seeing a city. It was just weird. So I don't know. I don't know. It sounds crazy. It sounds crazy to me, but that's all I can. But I have no other memories of anything else happening. And the thing is that lady, the lady that I went to see that tried to hypnotize me, when I told her, she said to me that a lot of encounters and abductions and things happened during the 80s. She said she said she's got a huge record of people that had experienced stuff during that time. So I don't know what that means. This was a few years ago that I went to see this lady, and like I said, I didn't feel that I didn't find the hypnosis successful at all. I just couldn't. And like I said, I've been hypnotized for other things, for weight loss stuff, and it's never worked. It's just never worked on me. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's strange. I'm thinking this might be like some sort of blocker or something that's been maybe manipulated into you.
I don't want to say that, but because I'm not 100% sure. I can't, I've listened to your other podcasts of other people, and they're very clear on what they've experienced. But I can't say for sure. I'm not saying that what is real. I can't say that because I don't know 100%. And that's why I want to do the regression things with these ladies that Mary Rodwell has referred me to. The thing is, I couldn't do it because we were in lockdown. So I couldn't go to this other lady that she's referred me to.
That's fair enough.
Let me look into it now that that we haven't done it.
Yeah.
Now that we're out of lockdown.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Like, I'm only just thinking, definitely only speculating here and having a guess, like a wild guess. But there are apparently different races of alien species, if you want to call them that. And they might have different strengths and how well they can strengthen the blocks into your memory, sort of thing. And some might actually allow you to go and remember it.
That has been a thought in my head too. That has been a thought in my head too. Yeah, like that has crossed my mind that maybe something has been done. That has crossed my mind that maybe something is done, that the block is so strong and that, not even hypnosis can get it out of my head.
Yeah, no, that's amazingly and scary at the same time.
Yeah. Because then, you know, I've always had an interest in it, and you know what? There's some crazy documentaries and there's some good documentaries on Amazon Prime. There's some bizarre ones. Some of them are really badly done, but some of them are really interesting as well. So if you've got Amazon Prime, there's really good There's quite a few documentaries. There's all the Stephen Greer stuff on there, and I watch them all the time. And what I've seen, what was I going to get at? What I've noticed is that some of the people that have experienced stuff have oh man, I've lost my train of thought. I can't remember what I was going to say, Anthony. Sorry.
No, you're all right.
Distracted. There's too much going in my head. But I think yeah, and as I was saying, there's a lot of good documentaries there, but so I've always had an interest in it, which I find, which I don't know why, but it's always been an interest of mine. Like, you know, there was that mini series, probably, like, that was also in the 80s or the 90s. It was called not Encounters, Intruders. I don't know if anyone's seen that film.
It sounds familiar.
Have you seen it? Have you seen it, Anthony?
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I think it sounds familiar. Is that the one with?
I think it was like a mini series. It was like a two.
Oh, okay.
And they sort of like, and it's based apparently on true stories. So it's based on apparently true encounters of American people. Like, there's a lady that gets her fetus removed. There's a lady that has encounters and her nose bleeds and stuff like that. And it's pretty good. It's in the 80s. It's old now, but it's still a good documentary or whatever. But it's not a documentary. It's a telly movie based on real experiences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh man, I totally forgot what I was going to say earlier. Shit, sorry.
No, you're right. While you're trying to think of what you're coming back with, I do have another question that's gone in the chat now, but I don't know where it went. I think I vaguely remember it. It was something to do with your first experience there with the crafts, looking at the window there, and you see the crafts in the sky there. They're just asking, like, did you feel like the lights were sort of focusing on you, or?
What I thought, no, I don't think it was. To me, it felt like a mass thing. To me, it felt like a big thing. It didn't feel like it was just about me. That was the weird thing, because it was not just one. I didn't see just one craft. And that's when this lady told me, when that made sense to me, when that lady told me that during the 80s there was like mass sightings and mass experiences. People came to her with mass experiences and whatever. Like, she had a lot of people come to her, is when it sort of like made sense to me, because it's sort of like, it was almost like it was on a bigger scale than just one person at a time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then, like, when you hear reports and other people on your podcast say, oh, you know, there was all these other people there, you know, it sometimes seems, I don't know. But to me, it didn't seem like it was just for me. It just seemed like a big thing, because there was more than one. I remember looking out the window and there was like more than one craft, and it was like a blue light, and it was like, and the thing is, Anthony, I can remember that the image, it was like a perfectly clear night, and it was like there was like moonlight on these craft. It was like, that's how clear the night was and how clear the image is of these. I can't remember the exact shape of the craft, but I remember seeing them in the sky, and it was like a perfectly clear night, but there was this blue mist in my room, sort of like a blue misty light coming through the window.
Yeah, okay, because we had Dee, who was our recent release podcast episode there. She had a bit of a mist coming through her room as well.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of a connection in that one, I wonder.
That's interesting, because, I just remember, this is the memory that I've got, is I woke up, I was woken by the light. That's what I remember being. I just woke up and I got up, and it was like this blue, weird, misty light in the room. And then I get up to look out the window, and that's when I look into the sky, and it's a perfectly bright moon-filled night. There's moonlight, and the moonlight is shining on these. And I thought, oh my God! And I turned away from the window as if like not to let them see. And that is it. That's all I remember of that dream. I don't have any memory. I don't have any dreams or any memories of beings or anything like that.
Yeah, that's strange, isn't it?
The only other thing that is really weird is when we were little. When we were little, we used to travel up to Queensland. That I mentioned that we used to go up with my parents. My uncle lived on a farm like way up north, up past Cairns, up near Mareeba and northern Queensland, and there was something happened, and this is a weird memory, but there was like a dog in the paddock, and it was like it wasn't their dog, but it was staring at us. It was really weird. And you know what? There was like in that movie, in that film Intruders, that girl, that lady in that movie said the same thing, that there was like a dog barking at her and it was not a dog. So something about that memory of when I was little and we saw this dog and we ran away from this dog, it's just really weird. And that's just a real small snippet. But in that movie, Intruders, she has the same thing. She says the same thing. She says she sees a barking dog at the door or at the window or something. And that's where I think sometimes, it's in the years later that I think about this stuff, is when people talk about the aliens doing screening, that they screen themselves, they make them look like something, they make themselves look like something else.
Yep.
So I don't know, but that's just a weird thing as well. But the other thing that I had in my head was thoughts of, was like images. There's one particular dream. This to me is a dream because it was like a weird warning dream, which it was a dream about the world ending. It was a dream. It was like a warning about the world ending, and there would be a catastrophe of some sort. It was just a weird dream. But there was this mechanical thing. There was this mechanical thing that was going to do it. This sounds really weird. It might be totally unrelated, but it was a weird. And I had a series of dreams about like scary stuff happening, and I don't know what that means. And I know, and that's another thing is, a few people have been warned about stuff happening to the planet. So just weird stuff. I don't know. There's been a series of weird things over the years, but nothing. The only recent thing that I've experienced, the last thing that I've experienced, was that sighting in Queensland.
Yeah, okay. It all sounds really cryptic.
Things that have happened, I haven't experienced it. I've tried to do what's that C5 thing that Stephen Greer does? I've tried
CE5 contact.
I can't do it. I lose concentration. I've been invited by other groups and stuff to go do it, but I haven't done it.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to do. It's like just in meditation itself can be really difficult to try and keep your mind focused, and I think that's where a lot of people struggle on that part.
And I don't know if that's also why I can't do the hypnosis.
Could be too, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, over the years I've tried being hypnotized for different things, for like weight loss and other things that I've been through, and it never works. It hasn't worked.
No, that's fair enough. I hope it can work.
I'm not saying that hypnosis doesn't work. I'm just saying that on me, I've never been able to go under.
Yeah, it's got to be careful with the hypnosis thing too, though, because like I've heard stories there where people have sort of, well, I don't know if they're implanted ideas into their heads as they're trying to get something out of them, or they're making up stories in their heads that weren't actually real or happening. So to me, I'm a little bit hesitant on the hypnosis side of things, but that's just me.
Yeah, no. I never had. No, the only person I've only been to one person for these UFO things, for these visions, and I want to see another lady. And really, literally, I only contacted Mary Rodwell because I know she's in Queensland. I contacted her through her website, and she referred me to a lady here in Sydney, which I haven't been able to see because of lockdown. And I'll organise it now, actually. Yeah.
No, mate, that'd be great if you can get back to us on that too, because it'd
Yeah,
be
I'll
really
send you-
interesting.
yeah.
So, another question with the regarding the crafts outside the windows. Could you describe them at all? Like, get a bit of a detail out of them at all?
From what I remember, they were like almond shaped, just almond shaped. So I distinctly remember looking up to the sky, and they were like, it was like, how do I describe it? Honestly, it was like almond shaped. It was like a pod sort of thing, and they were just like up in the air, just all in the sky, and it was like blue, and it was just like a bright blue night. They weren't triangles or anything like that. I remember them being like pointy at the front and then like pointy at the back, sort of like a round, like an almond shape.
Okay.
That's what I remember seeing.
Yeah, righto.
Yeah, not triangular. This was like, and the other thing is also like, people say that the shapes of these craft have changed so much over the years as well. Like the triangular ones are like more recent years and blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
But anyway, before that, I had nothing in my head about what or thoughts about UFOs or anything like that. But that dream, looking out the window, I just remember they were like almond shaped, and they were reflecting the moonlight. I remember the moonlight reflecting off them, like they were shining with the moonlight, and it was like a blue light. But like that question that was asked earlier, I don't think it was just for me. It felt like it was like many more, like it was a big thing.
Yep, no, that's fair enough.
Yeah. Sounds weird, but that's the impression that I got.
Yeah. Any noise or vibrations from the crafts? Could you hear anything?
What was that?
Any noise or vibrations you could sort of feel or hear?
No noise. And not even at that sighting, nothing. It was like as silent as anything. Even at that one at Brisbane, absolutely nothing. Just silence. No noise, nothing. I heard nothing.
That's really strange, eh?
Nothing at all. But I just remember those lights as I was coming through the mountain ranges, because you're going through the ranges and the forest, and it was coming in and out of view, but it was always over to the right. So it was always over to the right, and I thought, this is not an airfield anymore. This is not. I'm not in the line of an air path, of flight path anymore, and this is not just a plane. And then it started to get in my head that this is something else, and I thought it's a UFO, and so I was like trying to look and keep on seeing. I kept on seeing it like it was there, but it was really low. It was like low on the top of the trees. It wasn't like up in the sky. It was low on the top of the trees, and almost it looked like it was between the trees, because it was like the trees were in the way at times.
Yeah.
And then once I passed all that and came out of the actual forest, and it was like out of the ranges, is when I saw that it was like the lights. And that's what baffles me, is why the lights went out, why the lights had dimmed down now. But maybe it was because I don't know, maybe the air fighter jets were scaring it away, like you hear on reports now, they try to scare them away or whatever with these craft and that sort of, they try to chase them or intercept them and stuff. And honestly, yeah, so yeah, it's just piqued my interest even more. Like, I try and watch documentaries, I try and read books, and I'm reading Ian, is it Coulthard?
Ross Coulthard.
Ross Coulthard, yeah, Ross Coulthard. I'm reading his book at the moment. So it's just raised my interest even more. But I'm really curious to get down to the bottom of these visions that I've had, like the one at the window, because I don't feel like the one at the window. The one at the window just seems weird to me. I get the impression that I'm on a craft and I'm looking down at somewhere. I'm looking down at a city. It's just bizarre to me. That's what my thought is on that. I'm a bit hesitant to say it because I feel like I sound crazy, but that's what the impression is that I get, is that I'm at a window of this craft and I'm looking down at this bright city with all these lights, but I don't know where it is. I don't know what I'm looking at.
Yeah, that would be an amazing sight though, regardless.
Yeah, I don't know. And yeah.
So, where was this happening? Where you had the objects at the window, like when you were a kid? There, where was this located?
That was in Sydney. So I was living in the inner west of Sydney.
Yep.
And I just got up from bed and and that was in the inner west, like around, Leichhardt area. That was where I lived. Yeah.
That's all good. Just hoping if someone hears this podcast, they can sort of maybe listen to this and go, "Oh, I remember that."
But this was a long time ago. This was like in the 80s. I was probably like I can't remember. It was either in my 20s or I was in high school or something. Yeah. But honestly, I've never had any other dreams or what I can say are dreams since then that I remember of them. Anything similar to that, nothing. So that's what's weird to me as well. It's not like it's a recurring dream. It's just one-off stuff.
Yeah, very vague sort of memory. It wouldn't be a dream if you remember that much detail.
Yeah.
So, what about your family? Have they encountered anything at all?
No, not that I know of. No. No. No one in my family. And I'm single. I don't have kids or anything like that, so I can't say if the kids or anything have experienced it like some of your other podcasts and stuff. I know that that podcast by Oliver, he said that he could see his daughter there and stuff like that. I can't say. I can't. Yeah.
No, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
No, that's really sort of difficult to try and put a nail on the head on that one, isn't it? Because usually family gets involved as well, or some sort of family member has a bit of history on this sort of stuff.
Yeah, so that's why I really want to try and get back to see that lady that she's referred me to, that Mary Rodwell has referred me to, and see if I can try again. It's been a few years since I've been tried to be hypnotized, so I could give it another go and see what happens.
Yeah, because someone in the comments have suggested that the reason why you could see that craft going through the ranges there between Ipswich and Brisbane and that is because you're the abductee. So you have been insighted to that.
I think these things, but I don't want to say them out loud because I don't want to sound crazy. But that was a thought. And because when you posted that story of mine on the group with the images, someone else did say that in some context, like they target certain, like the craft will target certain people. And that's what I found bizarre, is just no one saw it and no one was stopped. And there was a petrol station probably about 300 or 400 meters up ahead. And you know what? I did the trip again the year after because I wanted to go back there again to piece together a bit more. I didn't see anything again, but I wanted to have another drive through that same area to experience it again. So a year later, when I did the convention again, I drove back up there the same way, and I saw the petrol station. I knew where the clearing was, and then I passed the Air Force Base as well. But yeah, but nothing since. I haven't seen anything like that since.
No, that's fair enough.
I see them every day, and yeah. I'm always looking, but I've never seen anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So another question's come through. Did you have any physical reaction to these experiences? Basically saying they hear a lot of people waking the next day feeling extremely tired or nosebleeds, so on, or maybe some sort of marking even.
Oh God, it could be anything. Maybe I could have had stuff and not even realize. But I mean, tired, that has happened. Yeah, definitely, I've woken up. But those after those experience, after the UFO thing, no, I don't recall anything. After that sighting in Brisbane, I don't recall anything unusual happening.
Yep. Okay. So what about with the lights as well, with the triangular craft? So they were what, red and orange sort of lights?
They were red. They were like red and orange. They were like red and orange, and it was like I thought I was looking at the back of planes because it seemed like it was like triangular, and I could see triangle shapes. And I thought, oh, it must be the wings of a plane with lights on them. But then the lights were really bright, and they were like the lights were they were like a lot of lights. So it was like a lot of lights along the perimeter of this triangular shape.
Yeah.
So it was like a lot of, but they were changing all the time. So it wasn't always the same lights. There was like, they were red and orange, and sometimes it was just a few orange. Sometimes it was just some red. But then by the time I got there, like I said, it was just black. It was like this big black silhouette in the sky and like a few little dots of light. And I tried to take a photo of it, and the stupid iPhone just wasn't picking it up because it was a crap iPhone. It was like a few years old now, but and it was dark, and it just wasn't, you know. And everyone's saying, oh, you know, couldn't get a photo, but yeah. But I've told friends about it. All my friends know about this, and I don't care if they think I'm crazy. But whatever I saw. I just yeah.
Yeah, so it's sort of like the lights were sort of transitioning between each other.
Yeah. It was like they were moving on this thing. They were moving. Yeah, I didn't see more than one craft. I'm assuming this is all one craft.
Yeah.
But the lights were changing. And that is why I wonder why these craft have lights on them. So,
yeah, I was going to ask the same question.
you know what I mean? So that is why I wonder why, if it's to draw our attention, if it's like to get us focused in on it or something, like almost like a hypnosis thing to get us to magnetize us towards it or something. That's what's weird about it. And it was almost like I got to it and then it shut off. It reeled me in, and then by the time I got there and I stopped the car and I was looking at it, it had reeled me in, and it turned all its lights off. And it's just weird. It's just weird.
Yeah, it sort of makes me wonder if they turned the lights off because they would have had, or would have known that the jet was coming in to intercept it a little bit.
Well, that's true. That's what I think too. Yeah.
So,
but it didn't, like, you know, and honestly, Anthony, I so regret not staying longer. I chickened out, and I should have stayed. And then the other thing is, you know, it's in hindsight and you regret it. I realized I should have stayed, but then I thought I should have turned around and tried to go towards it. But then, yeah, no, I don't know. Then all this crazy stuff was going through my head. I thought, oh my God, there's going to be aliens walking out of the bushes here and they're going to abduct me and all this. I was just like freaking out. I was getting into panic mode. So, yeah. So, but yeah, no, it was just whatever it was amazing. Yeah, it was really cool.
It would have been absolutely fantastic.
But that has crossed my mind, because when that discussion happened on your page about someone else posting about the lights, yeah, like it has occurred to me that they do it to, you know, they might do it to abductees or to people that they're trying to attract, and it's only certain people will see it. Not everyone will see it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And that's why I want to go see and try and do hypnosis again. That's why I want to try and do it again. Yeah.
No, that's fair enough. I hope it works out well, and we'd
well,
love the feedback on that.
I'll let you know how it goes.
I'll look forward to it. Because we've got Dee, she's apparently going to be talking to Mary as well.
Oh, cool.
About her experiences there, and try and get some feedback on that one as well. I think that's sometime this month she's going to go and talk to her.
Oh, awesome. Is Dee Queensland?
Yes, she is.
Oh, okay, cool. That's the only issue, because I know that I wanted to see Mary directly, but it was just too hard, because it was like, I was actually going to go see her the year after that I drove up to Queensland. But she was even further north. She's like further north past Brisbane. So I didn't have the time to go see her. And something else had gotten in the way. I couldn't see her directly.
Yeah, she's about the central Queensland sort of area, I think, from memory.
Yeah. Anyway, so but she's given me the contact details of another lady. Not that I want to try the other lady this time, not the first lady that I saw. I'd see what happens.
Yeah.
But but they're the key things that I've got in my head, but I can't remember anything else. If anything else has happened, yeah.
No, that's fair enough. So before we end the show, I'll get if anyone's got any other questions there, for David there to go and ask away regarding his experience there. But yeah, put in the comments there and I'll relay the message before we end the show. But one question from me there, I usually ask everyone this one, and I know you say you don't want to speculate to go on extraterrestrial, but what do you really think these crafts are, or who's involved in these crafts?
You know what? I can only go by things that I've learnt about. I don't know. Like there's a lot of theories. Like they're either from other dimensions or whatever, or other planets or other galaxies and stuff like that. But then there's the theories like, I listened to Ross Coulter, and they're talking about theories that they're future humans and all this stuff coming to warn us about our own, maybe. And that's where I think, maybe those visions of, those disaster images and stuff that I've got had something to do with that, like a warning of some sort. So I don't know. I really don't know. It could be, there's so many possibilities. It's just, yeah, I really don't know, Anthony. I believe that it's something, but I just don't know what. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Actually, going back on that too, there, with the disaster of the world or something, like you had some sort of machine there.
It was this. You know what? I still remember it, and I remember that we were in. It was in this, like it was a. This was a dream. This to me was a dream because I remember it vividly. That there was like a disaster was going to happen, but there was a machine that was going to do it. A machine. There was like a machine. It was like but it was like a high tech machine. So it was almost like a Rubik's cube thing that was moving around. And I remember it in the dream, and that was what was going to end the world. And that's all I remember. And that people were freaking out, and that the world was going to end, and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it was just a weird, weird thing. But I don't know if that's related to, that might just be a dream, but I don't know. I don't know if that's related to anything to do with encounters or anything like that. So don't take that as me. There could be something else completely. But what I remember was it was a machine doing it. It was like this thing. It was like, I remember seeing, it was like this weird thing with arms twisting around. It was bizarre. It was just something weird. It just seemed weird to me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it does sound rather bizarre. And because like when people are talking about they've been abducted or something like that there, and they've been told that the end of the world is coming, they've been given tasks or given the message to go and give the rest of the people.
Right.
It's sort of strange in its own little sense, but you're being shown like a weird machine, which is strange in itself too.
Anthony, there were other dreams and stuff that I had, but nothing I would say that was. I did have other dreams about the end of like warnings and that sort of thing, but nothing that was weird that I would say that it's otherworldly or anything like that. But this was the one that had this bizarre element of this machine thing, this thing moving around, and it was warning us that the world would end, and we had to try and stop it. And you know what? I mean, after that, I've sort of been aware my whole time, like my whole life, sort of like since those years, being environmental and trying to, be environmentally aware and that sort of thing. So, I mean, it's always in the back of my mind, as well. So I don't know, maybe it was something like that to be, to look after the planet or whatever it is or whatever they're trying to. And that sort of thing, yeah.
I find it strange though that they pick random people to go and send these messages out, because like why not go towards like
that's what I'm like. I'm like, I was a graphic designer for like 20 years and stuff, and that's why I was able to create those images of what I saw to give you representations of what I saw that night.
Yeah.
And then I left it, and now, like I said to you, I do the community care work and I look after people and that sort of thing. So, but yeah, so.
Yeah, it just makes me wonder, like, why they didn't go for the higher public figures there when they want to go and send these sort of messages out. Like, scare tactic something.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. And that's like there's that famous experience of the school kids
Yeah,
in
the
Zimbabwe.
African kids. Yep.
You know about that.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, and I saw that interview. There was like a little, I think it was on YouTube or something, and they were interviewing the kids that had it, that saw these creatures from this craft, and the aliens said to them, "Look what you're doing to the planet." Like I remember one of the kids said that, look, that one of the beings said to them, "Look what you're doing to the planet. Look after the planet," sort of thing. I remember that being one of the messages that they got from the beings that they saw that day.
Yeah.
So, and these are kids at school. So maybe that's the way they do it. Maybe that's the way they probably think it works. It starts from the bottom up. It starts from the everyday people. It's more of a mass thing than just seeing a few crazy individuals. Well, I mean, they should go to the crazy individuals that are going to set off nukes and stuff. But
yes,
yeah, but maybe that's just how they get to the population and change people's minds slowly. And I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's just only my opinion on that one. They're like Africa of all places. Like that place doesn't seem to be really that big a technical sort of giants of the world, like America and Europe and all sorts of stuff, China even. Like, why not go to those places?
Well, then, I mean, why not? What about the one in Melbourne, the Westall thing, which is pretty epic? I remember I saw that for the first time on TV. And I thought, oh my God, that's so cool. That was like such a cool experience. And I mean, all those people are adamant that, what they saw and whatever. And that was in the bloody suburbs. Imagine. I just don't understand how more people didn't see that. So as well.
Yeah, it would have been an absolutely incredible sighting for back in that time too.
Yeah.
Leaves so many questions. They probably thought they were going back into World War III or something. I think because it's around the same time as what the Cold War was going on. No, I think it was in the 80s. I can't remember now, but yeah. But yeah, either way, it's an incredible experience for everyone that did witness that. And this whole genre itself there is so cryptic. It just leaves little hidden messages here and there, and just leaves us dumbfounded with no explanation to the whole thing.
It's sort of like, it's just like bait. We've just got this bait and, nothing more to go on sort of thing. It's just bizarre. So, yeah.
And frustrating.
Nothing more than that. What I've told you is all that I can't ever say that it's always in the back of my mind though. And like I said to you, I tried doing what's it called again? That CE5 thing?
Yeah, it's it, yep.
CE5. I've tried doing that myself and I haven't been able to do it. But, I mean, it's always in the back of my mind. So, yeah. But I can't say that I've ever experienced seeing an actual being or anything like that. I can't say that. I've never, not that I'm aware of anyway.
Yeah. Well, mate, thank you very much for coming on the show anyway, mate. Absolutely incredible experiences.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me blab on about that.
No worries at all, mate. Absolutely amazing, incredible experiences there, mate. And hopefully we'll hear back from you soon there regarding your hypnotization or whatever you want to call it.
Get in touch with that lady, yeah.